Hi everyone, this is Mike Kirkby-Sing from LBK Presbyterian Church here in Northern Southland. Just hello to you from me, from my family. Hello to my church family and anyone else in the community watching in. So we're coming up to Easter, and I wonder how you are going to celebrate Easter this year, or how you do it in other years. Do you have Easter egg hunts? Do you eat Easter eggs? Do you enjoy hot cross buns and time with family? Well, it's obviously going to be a pretty different Easter this year, isn't it? In the Gospel according to Matthew, which is all about Jesus, we see in chapter 1, we see Jesus heading into a city for a celebration. They're going to celebrate Passover. Passover was the time when the Jews celebrated how God rescued them from slavery in Egypt by his amazing power. And so at Passover, as they do every year, they celebrate that event. And this is where Jesus was going. He was going into Jerusalem to celebrate Passover. Jesus, in verse 1, is on the Mount of Olives and he's looking across into the city. And I wonder what he's thinking. I wonder what he's expecting. And I wonder if he's got something else in his mind other than what the others would be expecting, something that no one, apart from a few of the disciples, would have expected. Do you have a favourite place? A place that you are really fond of or like to go to? I mean, this would be one of our favourite places, our family home, where we are now in the manse in Lumsden. This would be one of our favourite places, this place. Now, Jerusalem. In the Bible, one of the favourite places is Jerusalem. Jerusalem was the city of David, the place where the Lord helped David to establish the centre of his kingdom, where he established the temple, where God dwelt among the praises and sacrifices of his people there in Jerusalem. But Jerusalem was also a mixed city. In the city of Jerusalem, we see this in Matthew's Gospel. It's where the wicked King Herod ruled. It's where he sent the soldiers to kill the innocents at the start of Matthew's Gospel. We see Jesus having to, and his family, having to flee to Egypt at the start of the Gospel. Then he returns and he settles in Galilee, which is in the north of Israel. Now, Galilee to Jerusalem is a little bit like Lumsden to Auckland. These are just quite different places. And all the stereotypes we get between these different kind of places, those existed. And so for people in Jerusalem, for those people in Galilee were, seen as country bumpkins. And so these people were certainly foreigners in terms of Jerusalem. What is he expecting? Well, as Jesus sets out, he's got some unusual instructions. And this is Matthew 21, verses 1 to 3. Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them, "Go to the village ahead of you, and at once you'll find a donkey tied there, with her colt by her. Untie them and bring them to me. And if anyone says to you, 'Say that the Lord needs them,' and he will send them right away." That donkey. The first thing that you'll notice Jesus doing is asking for a donkey. We see Jesus commandeering a donkey. Now, I looked up this word commandeer. In the dictionary, to commandeer is to take possession of something or control of something for military or for law enforcement purposes, or to make someone help you. Jesus shows us his authority in doing this. He is the only one that can do this. If Jesus is who he claims to be, the divine Son of God, then this does make sense, because as one with God, everything is his. He is the creator. He has the right to anything and everything. Now, right now, we're in a lockdown situation. And so in this situation, the freedoms that we are used to and we take for granted have been certainly reduced. We have been reminded that the freedoms that we do take for granted are a gift. And everything that we have really is a gift. All of life is a gift, and it's a gift from God. All we have is a gift, and life is a gift, and God gives us everything. And that donkey already belonged to Jesus in that sense. Everything we have already belongs to him. So what might Jesus be asking of us? And would we be willing to give it to him? But also for Matthew and for his disciples, what Jesus does fulfills ancient prophecy. This is verses 4 and 5. This took place to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet, and that's prophet Zechariah. Say to daughter Zion, see your king comes to you, gentle and riding on a donkey, and on a colt, the foal of a donkey. Zechariah's prophecy brings together three symbols. Zion, that's another name for that city, Jerusalem. Then the king of Israel, obviously. And the steed of the king, in this case, a donkey. It's likely that Jesus is well aware of this prophecy, and what he's doing is in fulfillment of it. Now, Jesus could have walked into the city. He was used to walking. He wouldn't have been tired. And so this is an entirely symbolic action. Jesus knows that he's a king, and he's showing us and he's showing them that he is a king. Well, this all comes together with the crowds. It can be great being a part of a crowd, can't it? At a sports game or at a concert or in a festival. I've been a part of some great crowds over the years. The irony for us now is that we can't be in a crowd. We're in lockdown, we're in self-isolation. Although, in a sense, we can be a part of the virtual crowds, and these virtual crowds can be positive or negative. But this crowd that Jesus was with would have been a fun crowd. This was a happy crowd. And Jesus was one of the pilgrims going to Passover. But of course, he was more than that. He stood apart from the crowd, and we see what the crowd does. Look at verses 8 and 9. It says, a very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, while others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. And the crowds that went ahead of him and those that followed shouted, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest heaven. We see who Jesus is by what they do. This is not the only crowd. There's also the other crowd in Jerusalem that are already there. They're already sorted out. They've already arrived. They might have heard of Jesus, but they're not really sure what all the fuss is all about. They might be bemused, they might be a bit sceptical, and that might be some of you. I mean, what on earth has Jesus really got to do with anything in this day and age? And why is that crowd so wrapped up in him? What is there to celebrate after all? And what's going to happen to Jesus? And so maybe that question is one you're asking. Why bother with Jesus? If that's you, here's a question for you. Why do people celebrate Easter? What is Easter all about? And why did Jesus come? And why did he die? What is the meaning of that? And if this is you, then there's an opportunity for you this Easter, perhaps while you're in self-isolation, to ask yourself those questions and to find out again who Jesus is and what he did for us. There's a chance that you might hear the good news. So Jesus came to die for us, to die in our place, to die for our sins, and on the cross and in the grave to bury them, and then to rise again to newness of life. This, of course, is getting a bit ahead of ourselves. On that Palm Sunday, those many years ago, he'd only just arrived. The week was just beginning. The rest was yet to come. Friends, the news at the moment is not looking good. It's pretty bleak. But as Christians, we believe that God is good. And so I'd like to encourage you all, whether you know Jesus or have just heard of him, to discover again for the first time what Easter is all about and what Jesus did. In Jesus, you'll find a God who comes to be with us, to be with his suffering people, and comes to save us. And so that's it for this Sunday, this Palm Sunday. It's It's an unexpected entry into a city that's not really prepared, doesn't really know what to expect, wondering who this king is, riding on a donkey, with this crowd around him celebrating, singing hosannas. So join with us as we enter into this Easter week.